Little guy. 300 Wisdom, that thing throws out a. I shoot a 208 grain boat tail hollow point match at 3,007 feet per second, which is ungodly. Like I shoot 1,600 yards, no problem. And I don't even have pressure sign right now. I mean, I get a little bit of flattened primers, but nothing. I don't have primers. I don't have loose primers. I don't have any of that shit. 300 Ultra Mag, yeah. 300 Wisdom gets it out there, buddy. So give me one sec. What was
just wanna fly lately. Did you ever feel the pain in the morning rain as it soaks you to the bone? Maybe I just wanna fly, wanna live but don't wanna die. Maybe I just wanna breathe. Maybe I just don't believe. Maybe you're the same as me. We see things I'll never see. You and I are gonna live forever. I said maybe I don't really wanna know how your body grows, 'cause I just wanna fly lately. Did you ever feel the pain in the morning rain as it soaks you to the bone? Maybe I will never be all the things that I wanna be. Now is not the time to cry. Now's the time to find out why. I think you're the same as me. We see things I'll never see. You and I are gonna live forever. I don't really wanna know how you got it grows, 'cause I just wanna fly lately. Did you ever feel the pain in the morning rain as it soaks you to the bone? Maybe I just wanna fly, wanna live but don't wanna die. Maybe I just wanna breathe. Maybe I just don't believe. Maybe you're the same as me. We see things I'll never see. You and I are gonna live forever. Gonna live forever. Gonna live forever. We're gonna live forever. Gonna live forever. Gonna live forever. Gonna live forever. trying to get up that great big hill of hope for a destination Realized quickly when I knew I should that the world was made up of this brotherhood of man, for whatever that means. Into a crisis times when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out what's in my head. And I am feeling a little peculiar. And so I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream from the top of
American Show host Rob North. I can't believe I'm on time. I thought for sure I was running late. I got busy doing some stuff behind the scenes, and oh man, didn't think I was gonna make it in time. But bam, here I am. Made it just fine. And it's good to be here. Day shift, absolute dog shit. Who wants to deal with day shift? This is the crew, the night shift crew. You should have heard that guy that runs day shift this morning streaming. He was running his mouth. Night shift sucks, blah, blah, blah. They're too mean. Fuck him. What a fat bastard with his wrinkly-ass Carhartt shirt. Anyways. Oh, Crisco disagrees. Well. Got a good show for you tonight. Got some stories to talk about. Sort of a hodgepodge. Should be fun. Jump into that. Anything that the audience wants to specifically want to talk about. Good with that as well. But man, what a good day. Went to Applebee's with the family. Whoa, that's fine dining around these parts. You know, don't worry. Once I get the new computer, we'll set up some TikTok invasion type stuff. My son likes the little game thing they give you at Applebee's. So, I did not get kicked out. I had some salmon and some green beans. So I kept my diet. Very proud of myself for keeping my diet going so far. So Everest was just beating up on Jake Farr in a Green Lantern debate. Everest won, of course. And listen, if there's one thing we know, it's this guy. What's his name? Low Staverice. Yeah, Low Staverice. He would know whether or not Everest won that debate. So, amazing. So, oh man. Yeah, we're hoping to get skinny. I won't say skinny. I don't think I'll ever be skinny. How about just less fat? That would be great. So, I was running super late with the daytime show today to go pick up my son. And I share a driveway with my neighbor. Great people. My neighbors are great. We love them, get along with them very well. But, especially in the winter when you're sharing a driveway, sometimes you kind of get stuck. You got to wait for someone to come in and out. And my neighbor was at the mailbox and had the driveway blocked, and I was already late. And I'm just sitting there like gripping the wheel like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be late to pick up Hank. But we weren't. We ended up missing every traffic light, and we made it in time. So it ended up working out just fine. Big news, Trump just called for repeal of the CAFE standards. Really? CAFE standards, for those that don't know, are like fuel efficiency standards for cars. It's interesting. Yeah, good stuff. No, man, I drive the speed limit. I drive the speed limit for sure. So, yeah, I'm very lucky. All my neighbors around here are very good. Elderly woman lives on the other side of me. She mows her grass like every day. So she's probably bummed out in the winter. She doesn't get to mow. And then an Afghan vet is the one I share the driveway with. He's a very cool guy. I get along with him quite well. He has 2 daughters and a son. They're all very nice. His wife, very nice. Their family, when they come over, very nice. So we get along just fine.
Test
Also,
1 2,
here's
test
the
1
key.
2.
Here's the key to a good neighbor. You ready? It's like a good roommate. You want someone that's just as shitty as you. You don't want someone way shittier, and you don't want someone way more respectable. It's got to be like the same shittiness level. So, like, this is definitely true of a roommate. I lived with 3 guys. It was the most I ever lived with. There were 4 of us that lived in this big house. And 3 of us were all at the exact same place in our life, like drinking, partying. None of us smoked cigarettes, but we didn't give a shit if our friends were. And then the 4th roommate was very much not into that shit. And he would be a little passive-aggressive about shit from time to time. And he's a good guy, don't get me wrong. He was right, we're wrong. So it'd be something like this. You'd be up drinking till 3 a.m. And then 7 a.m. you would hear him like cleaning up beer cans and stuff. And then you felt like an asshole because you're like, well, I was going to do that. I was just going to wake up at like 11 or noon and then do it. Not 7 a.m. I just went to bed at 5. I stopped drinking at 5, you know? Same thing with the neighbor, though. the process of feeling out my neighbor, it's been like, what, 6 years since I've lived here? It's very much like, at first it's like, oh, I gotta make sure the yard's immaculate, mowing like every 2-3 days, weed eating, making sure that, you know, leaves are raked and stuff like that. And the neighbor's doing the same. And then as you get to know each other, it's like, yeah, we don't really give a shit about all that. But if your neighbor's yard looks really good, you have to have a really good yard. Now, on the other side of me, I can't, I've given up trying to keep up with my elderly neighbor. She's on another level, man. She's mowing like every day. So those of us of working age, it's like, well, you know. So, yeah, there it goes. Pennsylvania driving's a little scary. Yeah, the roads suck here. Here's a little government story for you. So, I do believe that Pennsylvania has the second highest fuel tax in the country. I think we're only behind California. Now, the fuel tax in Pennsylvania, as is the case, speaking of CAFE standards, we used to debate about a lot because if fuel efficiency, if you get rid of, like, if you have alternate fuels and things like that, the tax on fuel is basically what we use for road infrastructure. And that's certainly true in the state of Pennsylvania. And yet, Pennsylvania is consistently rated to have one of the worst road systems in the country. Now, how could that be? There was a story like, 5 years ago, fucking bridges were collapsing outside of Pittsburgh. It's dog shit. The roads here suck. Then when you put inclement weather on top of it, it's like, Alaska might be the highest. We don't count that. We're average. You folks, Hawaii and Alaska, you're on your own planet. We're talking Central 48, baby. So, it is a scam. It's absolutely a scam. Money laundering bullshit. I pay 37% of what I make in taxes. It's a damn outrage. All right. Some of the stories today are pretty grotesque. So, we're going to talk a little about the Rotterdam files that are being released. So, it's not good when you read some of the stories of some of these people that were convicted and exactly what they did. It's really bad stuff. So, in addition to that, we're going to talk some good Trump, bad Trump, some scandals in his administration, etc. Yeah, the Rotterdam stuff from the UK, correct. And then, Trump's speech he gave there 2 days ago about sort of immigrants from Somalia. We'll talk about that. The Enoch Burke story, yeah. Now, is this true? Like, I know that he was convicted, but was he given life in prison? That's what I was reading. I mean, surely. Let's see if that's the case. Oh, he's imprisoned until he complies with the order. So basically, Enoch Burke was a teacher in Ireland who's basically been jailed for the crime of refusing to use compelled speech. In other words, he won't use the fucking pronouns. The absolute Chad that he is. So, they're putting him in contempt. He's in jail until he basically repents. And he's refusing. So, yeah, I mean, that's a crazy story too, so. We'll talk about that as well. Where do you want to start? How about bad Trump? gonna start with bad Trump today. Bad Trump. We need a bad Trump song, Evers. Yeah.
Did someone say a bad Trump song?
Yeah, that's what we need.
I think I can make that happen.
Yeah, he's just bad. The Orange Man is bad. So
Sorry, I'm trying to set up a debate on your channel in the back end. So I'm like super busy.
With me or with you?
With me, we have to finish this Green Lantern debate. I had him on the road, but then you started your show. So
I got you. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm super excited to hear about that. The super grotesque European thing you're talking about. So I have no idea what you're talking about. So I was like, whoa, I'm excited to hear.
Yeah, it's the grooming scandals. There were trials in 2016, and they've had them basically under lock and key for damn near 10 years. And so, yeah.
I got a grooming scandal for you. It's actually really cool news. So I recently looked over at my wife's phone one day, let's just say this morning, and guess who she was watching?
Me?
Rob North show.
Oh, really?
They've consistently been watching your show behind my back.
Rob North show. Wow.
Yeah, isn't that great?
It's not the Nor Rob show.
Nice.
This is my favorite show because it is my show. If this was your show,
Oh yeah, crack the back
you'd
there.
probably
Nice.
like it more. But maybe that's just because it was your show. But it's not your show. It's the Rob North show.
There's more?
This is the Rob North show. It's not the Nor Rob show. This is my favorite show.
Yeah.
Because it is my show. If this was your show, you'd probably like it more. But maybe that's just because it was your show. But it's not your show. It's the Rob North show.
I love that song.
Hey, we did it. We did it.
So before I go in the back, I just wanted to point out there, since this will be the only time I get there to do so, night shift, just to let you know, get those super chats in. Day shift killed us today. We didn't even have to worry about super chats. They cleared the bar first, before the phone calls even came in.
That's right.
Get your super chats in. Your lack of super chats are going to kill me. And if you don't get your super chats in, of course, I'm going to blame you, Yodi.
Yes. Well, at least we always have that.
I just want to rocket. I'm just rocket shipping everything off really quick. Make sure also merch shop coming out soon.
Oh, yes.
Yep. Get your Rob Moore merch this week. I'm going to hassle Rob Moore tomorrow because we've been really busy this week. So
Yes.
I'll make sure to give Rob a little poke tomorrow with on getting that out.
Pitchfork. Get out of there.
Pitchfork.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah,
that
get
done.
out
So
there. Yeah.
Make sure to get your merch. Make sure to save your money for your merch for when it opens. And you can get yourself a cool hoodie like Avarice does. An oversized hoodie because all we had was XLs. And now I'm wearing
Don't worry, you can get a. You'll be able to get one that fits you. Yeah. So.
All right, I'm going to make like Rosa Parks. Enjoy the show, everybody. Welcome to
Oh.
Normal America with Rob Noor.
Yes.
It is
Thank you,
Psycho
Avarice.
Act Avarice.
Thank you, man. Gigi, thanks for the gifted membership. Always appreciate it, man. Yes. Get the super chats in, all of that good stuff. Don't worry, we still have time. I won't start hassling you hard about it for like 45 minutes. So, all right. Bad Trump. We're starting with bad Trump. First off, I'm not going to bring the story up, but they're out there. You can easily find it. Some of these pardons that Trump's offering are absolute fucking dog shit. There's no way to spin it as anything other than just blatant bullshit. And let's be honest, it's because it's people that are going to support Trump or Trump's supporters in some way. Harry Keller pardon. What's the other guy's name? Something Gentile. It's absolute fucking dog shit. It really is. Now, have other presidents pardoned bad people? Yeah. In bad ways. Yep. In fact, Trump did in his first term as well. But this sucks. It fucking sucks. It's not illegal. You could basically pardon anyone for any reason you want. But the legality of it doesn't matter. It's shit. I don't want our president pardoning wealthy criminals who defrauded people just because those criminals are associates, friends, supporters, donors, or whatever. I don't like it. If there are case-by-case situations where it seems to be warranted, that it seems like, hey, technically this person was guilty and they did convict him, but okay, that's one thing. But that doesn't seem to be the case here. It does undermine some of the waste, fraud, and abuse if you're pardoning people that defrauded the government, or for that matter, other innocent people. It's bullshit. For example, we'll bring up one of them. The commutation Trump issued to David Gentile wipes away all further fines and restitution. Gentile been sentenced to 7 years for his role in a $1.6 billion scheme that defrauded thousands of investors. Prosecutors were seeking $15.5 million in forfeiture that now he won't have to give up. It's ridiculous. Now, I want to be clear. Yes, I understand that other presidents have pardoned people worse than this guy. And yes, I understand the Democrats are fine with that. Most of the time. But I don't give a shit. The guy defrauded investors out of $19 billion. So I'm going to call out when I see shit like this that I don't like. And I think this is fucking ridiculous. And there's been numerous like this. If it's one, maybe you say, look, Trump's team, someone in Trump's ear looked into this and this was a gross miscarriage of justice. But when you start to get to several of them, it's enough. The overwhelming amount of circumstantial evidence we have suggests these are people that at least someone in Trump's ear has some sort of relationship with. Either they're going to donate money to them, they're going to support them in some way, and that's fucking ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Lucky Buffalo says, all the orbiters around Trump need to do is say, so-and-so was unfairly targeted by Biden, you should pardon him. Trump just does it without a second thought. If it doesn't matter if that's the case or Trump's looking into this and saying, yep, it's worth it. No matter what, the buck stops with Trump. It's his fault. There is no Biden did this, so it's okay, or Obama did this, or Trump's just listening to people. The buck stops with Trump. And it's outrageous. Now, is it the biggest deal? No. On the scale of 1 to 10, this is nowhere near the fuck up that the Epstein debacle with Trump, telling his own supporters he didn't want their support anymore if they were still concerned about the Epstein files. But this isn't good. I give it like a 3, a 2 or a 3. So when Democrats are out there and they're talking about this, they're absolutely right. Unless I find more evidence to suggest that this isn't outrageous, I would absolutely say, yeah, I don't like this. It's up there with the meme coin bullshit. You remember that? Right before Trump came in office, you get your Trump meme coin. What a terrible, terrible. So, there's not really much more to say it than that on it. The next bad Trump, and there is another one. Now, I'd read stories earlier that suggested this, but I watched this video, and I could make a case for why maybe this isn't that bad, but I don't feel like it. This is bad. Here's Trump today, answering questions.
Mr. President, if a boat strikes, if it is found that survivors were actually killed while clinging onto that boat, should Secretary Hegseth, Admiral Bradley, or others be punished?
I think you're going to find that this is war, that these people were killing our people.
This, I don't know that they're killing the people, but this isn't the bad part. Coming up right here.
The millions, actually, if you look over a few years. I think last year we lost close to 300,000 people were killed. That's not mentioning all the families. Have you seen what happens with the families? Not only the people killed, the people that are trying to get their son or their daughter off of this poison that they've been fed. I think you're going to find that there's a very receptive ear to doing exactly what they're doing, taking out those boats. And very soon we're going to start doing it on land too, because we know every route, we know every house, we know where they manufacture this crap.
No, I don't want boots on the ground in fucking Venezuela. No. I don't want that. The strikes, I'm already up in the air about. I do not want boots on the ground in Venezuela. If that's what he means, I will be doing it in land. Now, that's how it was being reported. Let me see. Why can't I spell today? One second, I'm looking for. I don't want open war with Venezuela. If we have to target drug cartels, etc., that are trying to enter into the United States, fine. If he's talking about putting boots on the ground, it's absolutely outrageous. If he's talking about declaring war, that's bad. But the way everyone was speaking earlier, it was like there's going to be a land invasion. When I first heard this, that's what I thought he was saying. But I want you to listen again. I don't think that is what he's saying.
Receptive to doing exactly what they're doing, taking out those votes. And very soon we're going to start doing it on land too. Because we know every route, we know every house, we know where they manufacture this stuff, we know where they put it all together. And I think you're going to see it very soon on land altogether.
So to be clear, you support the decision to kill survivors after the
No, I support the decision to knock out the votes. And whoever's piloting those votes, most of them are gone. But whoever are piloting those votes, they're guilty of trying to kill people in our country.
So to me, it sounded more like he was saying, despite the characterization, we're going to do strikes on ground targets and not just boat targets. Again, I'm skeptical, just like I am with the boats. But that's different than boots on the ground. In general, my gut feeling tells me I don't like these strikes. They'll probably be deemed legal. But I have remained consistent in that every time we've seen sort of what I would call interventionist foreign policy in the bombing of countries, almost every time we'll say, I've been against it in my adult life. So just because the guy I voted for is suggesting it doesn't mean that I'm going to be like, yes. Now, regardless if it was him or Joe Biden doing this, there's one thing that gives me pause, and that is that at least here we're talking about things that literally directly affect the United States, like every year. And that is drug cartels and fentanyl and other drugs being brought into the United States, which devastates our communities. That's different than bombing people in fucking Syria. That's never gonna do shit in the United States. So, I'm like, well, Trump bombing Syria, as far as I'm concerned, which he did in his first term, and I called it out, is worse than so far what's happened with these Venezuelan boats, in my opinion. And I still make no excuses for Trump on that. So given that, I'm like, I don't know. This isn't as bad as that. But the big problem I have is, one, if this directly leads to war and then leads to our servicemen being put in danger. And secondly, once more, although you could say that this is a focus on the United States by dealing with drugs that are entering the United States, I would rather focus on domestic issues more. It would be different if we didn't already bomb Iran and piss around with Ukraine and Russia and piss around with Israel and Palestine. But again, it seems like foreign policy is the hyper-focus of the Trump administration when there's so many things to do back home. That's what it seems like to me. Now, do I think that there's all sorts of scandals with what our intel communities have been up to in places like Venezuela? Yeah, I do. And maybe there's something going on behind the scenes to that, but I'm not going to give the benefit of the doubt to Trump any more than I would have Joe Biden, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, etc. when it comes to starting wars. That's my opinion on it. So, to start off the show tonight, I think those are both things that I think there could be legitimate criticism of Donald Trump. Not bullshit scandals, not like some of the other shit that we're going to talk about. Right? This is legit. These ridiculous pardons, this. I'm just trying to call it like I see it. Now, let's talk about the scandal that the Democrats are talking about right now. And that is, you heard Trump talking about it there, the bombing of these votes. And whether or not it is a war crime by Pete Hegseth. Now, I've talked about this several times in the past couple of days, and the mere fact that I'm talking about it is a victory for the Democrats because they are successfully controlling the narrative. So, I want to explain one of the effective tools that Democrats use to help control the narrative. The Democrats will get something that there's truth to. They'll get something. Trump does tariffs. Something like that. That's true. Now, the tariff debate, it's not one-sided. There are pros, there are cons. It's not something like that almost everyone would agree is a good or a bad thing. That's how most policies are. Scandals could be different, though. So what the Democrats will do is, like, Trump does tariffs, and they'll be like, it's bad, it's outrageous, it's illegal, he can't do it. And then if that fails, and it sort of loses momentum in the public eye, what they'll do is they'll make up a scandal that's about tariffs. Trump tariffed the steel industry because his buddy Bob Smith owns U.S. Steel, and an unnamed source said that he offered to give Trump $100 million if he put these tariffs on. Oh boy, unnamed source. Everybody will run with it. Trump needs to go to jail. This is corruption. This is outrageous. Oh my goodness. Did you read that Washington Post story? Oh my gosh, it's terrible. And then, inevitably, the hoax will fall apart. The story's bullshit. And the Democrats will be like, yeah, but the tariffs are still bad and they're unlawful. And they can be abused. Now, the original story that lost momentum is back in the news. It's back on people's minds because they brought it back in with the bullshit hoax and scandal. That's what's going on with this Venezuela attack situation. So let's do the timeline of what happened. Two things are key in this situation. One, the Democrats hate Pete Hegseth. Why? Because Hegseth is someone that Trump put around him that isn't a traditional establishment guy. Notice how they're never flipping out about, like, Lindsey Graham. Or they weren't flipping out about when Trump appointed John Bolton or Bill Barr. Why? Because those people will reliably sabotage Trump. Or, let's put it more specifically, they'll reliably steer Trump towards the establishment direction. No, the people they're most pissed about are people that are outside the establishment. They don't like Tulsi. They don't like RFK. They don't like Hegseth. They don't like Tom Homan. They don't like Stephen Miller. Those are the people that they hyper-focus on. Hegseth, being at the CIA, they absolutely despise that. And they know that there's a lot of dirt in these intel agencies that people like Hegseth may eventually find out. And even if they don't find the dirt, They want those intel agencies to continue to be their lapdogs to continue on the policies they want. So Hegseth's persona non grata. Gotta take them out. And it's been one bullshit hoax after another. Oh, what about that cross that he has tattooed? Is that a white supremacy thing? No. Oh, the Signal chat. He was on Signal. Oh my goodness, get him out. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, he drank. When he was at Fox News, there were reports that he drank. Remember all these scandals about Hegseth? Why? Why are they targeting him so much? If Democrats were concerned about drinking, why don't they say shit all about Nancy Pelosi? She looks sloshed every time you see her open her mouth. The same fucking Democrats that somehow just missed that Joe Biden was walking around like a human fucking vegetable as president for 4 years. They got a lot to say about whether or not Pete Hegseth's drinking a little much. So that's number one. They want to keep going after Pete Hegseth. Number two, they probably don't like these attacks on Venezuelan boats, etc. But more to the point, what they really hate is Trump threatening to use the National Guard to help ICE and the ICE deportations. They fucking hate that. Mass migration is one of their primary goals. And they don't want it to stop. They're pissed off that Trump's basically secured the border. But that's okay. They could revoke all that by executive order because they know damn well that the Republicans aren't going to pass any legislation to enshrine Trump's executive orders in a permanent way. So all they have to do is hold out until a Democrat gets in charge again and president, and then they can revoke all that and we'll go right back to the days of Biden. Tens of millions of illegals flooding in. Special assists there to the Republicans, particularly in the Senate, that are more than happy to help the Democrats facilitate that. Those fucking worthless scumbags. So, it's a full court press against ICE. It's a full court press against the National Guard. That's what. And you've seen them gaslight or them inciting their fucking base to take attacks against ICE over and over again. Meanwhile, as ICE is being attacked at record levels, you have Democrat politicians saying, take your mask off, because they know that will intimidate ICE so that people will show up to their house and can see who they are, etc., etc. You've seen all of the scandals that went through this. But that brings us up till like last month, when you had these 6 Democrat senators put out their little video about you have to refuse illegal orders. Because they're saying that ICE is illegal, the deportations, the way they're doing it's illegal, that the National Guard being deployed may be illegal, and that these strikes on Venezuelan boats are potentially illegal. And basically, and we've gone through this, what they're implicitly saying is, listen, if you obey these orders, when we get back in power, we're going to prosecute you, Mr. Military serviceman, Mr. National Guard, Mr. ICE agent. That's what they're doing. That's more than the Venezuelan thing. That's what really the message was. When you saw these 6 Democrat senators put out that video. Now, the problem was they didn't have anything that was specifically illegal. Remember when they asked, and like they were like, well, we don't have anything yet. And then, I forget, who was it? Slotkin or someone was like, well, you know, like in A Few Good Men. What are you talking about? And the news cycle wasn't very good for Democrats. We saw the disastrous Biden-Afghan thing that led to the bringing in someone that shot two National Guardsmen. The Epstein shit fell on its face. Don't worry, they'll bring that back later. Because all of a sudden, Democrats were implicated in doing dumb shit with Epstein. Okay. Venezuelan boat story. Now, the problem is, that's sort of the precursor to where we're at. Now, the Venezuelan boat story already was out there. All of this occurred in September when Trump started bombing these boats. And we had the big discussion and debate, and it was in the news cycle. We'll see if it ever makes its way to the courts what they say about the legality of this. But as far as a political matter, which is different, and you have to understand that, relying on courts and stuff to be activists and to stymie Trump in both legitimate or illegitimate ways is one thing. That's a legal matter. But the political matter is convincing the public of something. And the truth is, most of the public didn't really give a shit. We're bombing narco fucking cartel, people bringing in fentanyl. Yeah, we don't give a fuck. They weren't super ecstatic, but they also didn't give a shit. I'm not going to shed a tear for that. There's enough other shit going on. So that was it. The argument came, and it went. It was out of the news cycle. But they want to bring it back in because it helps them make their argument about Hegseth being bad, about unlawful orders, etc. That's how we get where we're at. Now remember, this is the part I want you to remember. The argument about whether or not Trump can order our military to attack cartel members from countries that we haven't officially declared war. In this case, Venezuela. That debate has basically happened. It was out of the public sphere. The Democrats tried their best to scream it's illegal, illegal. Eventually, it'll probably make its way to some court. But the public was over it. We moved on to other cycles. So how can you get that story back in the news? Enter this scandal. The story was Pete Hegseth is a war criminal. That was the story. Pete Hegseth ordered a second strike against a boat that was bombed while two people cling to the boat for life. That's a war crime. Pete Hegseth committed a war crime. That was the claim. Now, and immediately, the first day that this came out, I covered it for like 3 minutes on my channel, and I was like, look, it's an anonymous source, it's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to fall for this bullshit anonymous source. Then we had JAG officials came out. Retired JAG officers anonymously were like, this is clearly a war crime. Pete Hegseth ordered a war crime. Remember, they hate Hegseth. They're connecting it. It's Pete Hegseth. He did it. And remember that. We were looking at it, and I'm like, the Washington Post story that this is all based on doesn't even say Pete Hegseth was directly ordering this individual strike. It just basically says he authorized strikes. It just said he was like, kill them all. A verbal order. And what happened? Well, I proceeded to cover, and I read that guy's lengthy post on X. Remember, we talked about how, like, look, yes, although it's illegal to kill in order to combat, the truth is that what ends up happening is the objective, the military objective was the boat, and you're allowed to continue to go after a military objective if it wasn't destroyed. No, it's a war crime. This is horrible. This situation was a war crime. The second bombing of that boat, remember that Socrates guy called in and 2 nights ago, and I was arguing until like 4 a.m.? He admitted, yeah, the original story was about Hegseth. We argued about Hegseth, blah, blah, blah. It's about Hegseth and about the illegality of bombing this ship twice as survivors held on. That's the scandal. And then the New York Times broke their story. And their story said 5 officials, again unnamed though, if we're to be fair, So more than 2 times more than those cited in the Washington Post story said, actually, Pete Hegseth didn't give any spoken order, and nor was he watching this attack to know that there was a second strike. He just authorized the elimination of these people in this boat. And Bradley, the admiral, or whatever, the leader that was in charge of the strike that actually was calling the order, said that they were worried that they were calling in reinforcements, which would prove that these weren't incapacitated to the point where they weren't still potential combatants. Now, I want you to pause because I said something. I thought about bringing up the clip, but you're just going to have to take my word for it. But you can go back and watch my video. When I was talking about this memo that these former JAG officers put off, JAG offs, we should say. There's a Yinzer, a Pittsburghese thing, right? I said, this sounds an awful lot like the 51 former Intel officials that said the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. And this is what I said. I said, remember how that story broke? And everyone was like, oh my gosh, see, the Hunter Biden laptop's bullshit. Former Intel officials say so. Yep, it's bullshit. It's Russian disinformation. And then once we found out that actually it wasn't bullshit, and the FBI knew for a long while that it wasn't, and it was legit. Then when it didn't matter, what was the talking point that the Democrats used? What did they say? I said, or I mentioned what they did, what their change in talking point was. That's right. They said, oh, no. These Intel officials never said it was Russian disinformation. They said it had the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. That's it. So they didn't lie. It did have hallmarks of Russian disinformation. And then I would be like, yeah, but you guys weren't saying that in real time. You weren't like, oh, this is a nothing statement. They're not really saying anything. You said, oh my gosh, it's Russian disinformation. 51 former Intel officials said so. Then once it turned out to be bullshit, they changed. And I said, that's what's going to happen with this story. It's going to be the same shit. And I even told you what they would do. I said they would be like, we never said it was about Pete Hegseth. We didn't say that. We just said that it was a war crime in general. That'll be step 1. And then step 2 will be they'll say, well, no, we're not saying that the second strike is what made it a war crime. It may have. But the fact that we're attacking these boats in the first place is a war crime. Does everyone agree that's what's going to happen? Now, if I'm right, what just happened? That story in September that they floated and tried to get the public really mad about and tried to have it be a big narrative and a big media talking point that sort of fell off, they brought the exact same story back. The exact same story by promoting a hoax. Well, actually, Hegseth didn't do anything. Well, actually, this second strike, it wasn't a war crime. But anyways, it's still a war crime, we think, because attacking the Venezuelan boats in the first place. That's the exact argument they had in September. And the balls these people have. What? That's what we've been saying all along. How they'll gaslight you. Go ahead, go on X right now and read the accounts. I saw several people today saying, everybody's saying the New York Times story debunked the Washington Post story, but that's ridiculous. It proved it. How? It definitively said that Pete Hegseth didn't order a second strike. Here's James Surecki, former writer at The New Yorker, 130,000 followers. One of MAGA's recurring tactics is to claim that a mainstream media piece said something it did not, and then claim that if it did not say, has been debunked. The Post story did not say that Hegseth ordered the second strike. That was yesterday. Yesterday morning. Literally, the night before that, I said, here's what they're going to do. Now they're going to say, no one ever said that Hegseth ordered the strike. What are you talking about? No one said that. Huh? Washington Post didn't make that claim. None of us said the Washington Post made that claim. Republicans are trying to say that the Washington Post said that. They never said that. Perish the thought. We on the left here have been defending Pete Hegseth. He did nothing wrong. This individual. I mean, go fuck yourselves. Didn't I tell you that's exactly what they were going to do? Probably 6 hours before that guy said that. I was like, here's what they're going to do. And that's exactly what they've done. Exactly. No, we didn't say Hegseth ordered it. Then why were you saying he had to fucking resign and he should be tried for war crimes? It just heavily implied that it was Hegseth that ordered it. We're just asking questions. Then the fucking hoax falls apart even further. So before I came on today, this isn't Fox News, this isn't Breitbart, this is ABC. Ready?
And tonight, new information. According to a source familiar with the incident, the two survivors climbed back onto the boat after the initial strike. They were believed to be potentially in communication with others and salvaging some of the drugs. Because of that, it was determined they were still in the fight and valid targets. A JAG officer was also giving legal advice. So again, David, that video will be key, and Admiral Bradley will be on the Hill tomorrow behind closed doors.
Huh. Wait a minute. So now the story is, actually, these people weren't laying there bleeding out, incapable of doing anything. They were physically able to climb back on the boat. They were trying to salvage the drugs, and they were calling for help. And there was a legal professional there telling the guy who ordered the second strike, yes, this is okay. Uh-oh! Now, I was reliably told, nope, blatantly a war crime. Pete Hegseth needs to be thrown in fucking prison. Now it turns out, not only was Hegseth not involved, but the people weren't incapacitated the way they were said. They were calling for reinforcement. They were trying to salvage the target, which was drugs. And there was an actual legal professional there advising. Uh-oh. So what's the Democrat response to this going to be? Well, the strikes on the boats themselves are illegal anyways. Right back to the story that we had in September. Without shame. They won't go, yeah, fuck, we were wrong about that. Our bad. Still, we don't like these strikes. They're going to be like, we didn't do anything wrong. What are you talking about? Another post about this story. That's the most damning one. And again, we'll see. But I talked about this a lot. If this is illegal, like a drone strikes, and then there's still people scrambling that have been injured, and the drone strikes again, then basically every president and every military officer who's been involved in proffering the war on terrorism has committed war crimes. Every single one. Because that's the norm, not the exception. Here's a man who served, talking about that. He says, drone strikes on designated terrorists 101. 1. Every mission executed by a long-range, long-duration UAV with the Hellfire missile is, in fact, a kill mission. By the nature of the attack, no capture is ever planned for or even possible. Second, regarding attacks of partially destroyed targets is the rule, not the exception. The physical status of possible survivors is not part of the consideration with standoff weapons. This has been the norm under both Republican and Democrat administrations since the first Hellfire was mounted on a Predator years ago. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying or ignorant. The method is ugly, no doubt about it, but there's nothing new here except politics. And I saw people posting like the FLIR from the drones, like the infrared. Psh, missile hits, then like 10 seconds go by and you see people like hobbling and scramble. Psh, missile hits again. That's a war crime, according to the Democrats. And again, I mentioned this. It's grotesque. I've talked about this for over a year. One of the two things I hate scrolling X, because I scroll X in public sometimes. You know? I'll be at a restaurant and check X. I hate the fucking porn on there. Disgusts me. Keep that fucking shit to your degenerate corners of the internet. So you're just scrolling like, oh, I'm reading a news story, and there's some pornographic picture. And I hate scrolling through and seeing people being killed. Particularly from the Russia-Ukraine fight. Soul-crushing. And I don't give a shit if it's Ukrainian soldier or Russian soldier. It really shows you the horror of war. Both in general, but also this new type of war. Where some fat guy like me's got a fucking joystick and just, like he's playing Flight Simulator. Oh, look at that. A man begging for his life. Fuck it, let's kill him. It's horrible. War's hell. But to watch all these fucks celebrate. Oh, look at that. That Russian man threw down his gun and he's pleading for his life. Or he's wounded and he's trying to crawl away. Ha ha ha! Look! They dropped another grenade on him. Those same fucking people that are celebrating that, which, according to the logic, would be a war crime by Ukraine. Or Russia, for that matter, if it was Russia doing it. And yet, the same people, many of them, that are screaming that Pete Hegseth needs to go to prison for the rest of his life, based on anonymous bullshit, source bullshit, they celebrate it. So what I say is this. Not $1 more for Ukraine until there's an accounting for the war crimes that Ukraine's committing. I've seen the footage. I've seen it. All of you have. All of the commentators from the Democrats have seen it. We've seen it. The Democrats have spoken. It's a war crime to kill an hors de combat, a combat person that's out of the fight, that's surrendering, that's injured, crippled, where they can no longer fight. We've seen the footage of Ukraine doing it. No more money for Ukraine. Let's ring them up on war crime charges, right? No! What you bet? Oh, you don't understand. That situation's different. They're fighting for their lives. It's different. They have to do it. don't give a shit. These motherfuckers would call for second drone strikes on January 6ers if they could. Let alone cartel members. So the whole bullshit that now the pivot's gonna be, yeah, but the attacks on the Venezuelan boats themselves are illegal. That's what they're gonna pivot to. In other words, something that we knew since September that had fallen out of the news cycle, well, we'll just spread some bullshit hoax, anonymous source bullshit, media will run with it, former JAG officers get on it, blah, 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 blah. And then when it turns out that that little hyper-specific story's bullshit, we'll say, yeah, but the general overall story's still true. So that's where we're at. So as predicted, a bullshit, but don't worry, the Republicans are more than happy to go, we're going to investigate this. Great work. Well done. Democrats do actual corrupt shit and scandal. Strongly worded letter from the Republicans. Anonymous sources say shit that Hegseth's going to work on. We need to bring these people in. We need to hold them accountable and see what's going on. All right, I warned you I was going to give you 45 minutes until I yelled about donos. So that's the end of that story. Maybe we'll come to it more later, but I mean, man, just Democrat Playbook 101. Remember that pattern. I don't see a lot of people talk about this. Something breaks. Democrats try to make a big deal out of it. It loses steam. Then they bring up some bullshit anonymous source hoax or something that's involving that thing that they already tried and it failed. When the hoax gets outed after a while as being bullshit, they'll go, yeah, but that first thing's still true. And they'll just go right back to it. Naughty Germ, thanks so much. $5. Always appreciate it, man. Unforced Ego, great to see you, man. $21 says, we have a lot of history of sending spec ops guys to South America to murk drug dealers, traffickers. I agree with you. I don't think Trump means that, and I find warheads on foreheads much more palpable than troops in the country. Totally agree. Chop Chop, thanks for being a member again. It says, is a secure border on the coast not the better choice? It's better than bombing like places in Syria, of course. But I think that there would be things like the actual securing, putting troops along the border, deporting people, things like that, probably more important than bombing ships in the ocean and then attacking Venezuelan proper, which will be a war with Venezuela. Mrs. D, $15. Thanks so much. Says, question. If we are pro-legal immigration, but require migrants to assimilate, how will we test measure for assimilation of said groups? So it would never be perfect, right? So you could do all sorts of tests, like you could do a vetting procedure, check their social media if they have, try to get as many of their records as possible. If you're incapable of finding that stuff, then sorry, you're not welcome here. If you can find it and it meets satisfactory standards, like, okay, it looks like you haven't said anything antithetical to sort of the spirit of the United States, maybe you give them some sort of test or something to see, right? But yeah, it's difficult. I'm not really pro-legal immigration at this point anyways.
I got an idea.
Okay.
We can lock them in a box with me for 24 hours, and if they make it through, they're allowed in.
So 0. Okay, that's where I'm at. Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things you could do. Like, you could have them require them to come check in, like every 3 months, continue to test them, something like that. Continue to check their social media, etc. when they're in the United States. But it's difficult. The truth is, we have to assume that there will be large groups of people, if we import a lot, even that are, quote, legal for working purposes, that won't assimilate in the manners we want. And so the real answer is, don't even leave this be an option by significantly limiting the amount of legal immigration that we allow as well. AJC, $50. Thank you so much, man. He says, if you and the crew come to Phoenix for the Turning Point USA later this month for a day, I'll take the day off and come meet you. It would be an honor to meet the Crucible crew. Hope all is well. Appreciate your content. God bless. Yay, JC. I'll hopefully have some more updates on that coming forward. But I definitely know Andrew's going to be there, and Jake. We'll see if I'm going to be there or not. Lavin, $20, says, going along with something you talked during the day shift. They have deals in Europe where you can go work for someone in exchange for room and board. My stepbrother and his wife are going next year. Reeks of slavery. Yeah. Well, they could leave if they want. So as long as it's a voluntary situation, I'm okay with that. I'd be okay with that right now. If someone in the United States adult says, excuse me, sir, I'll work for you with no cash given whatsoever. Can you just provide me with food and a place to stay? I don't have a fucking problem with that. What I have a problem with is if it's like, oh, but you can't leave and you gotta work. That's obviously different. What I'm talking about is these lefties will basically endorse slavery if you are like, well, because the argument they make is, well, even though we have to bring in these illegals because it's the moral thing to do, we have to. They're great people and we have to bring them in. And also, because they do jobs Americans won't, it keeps your prices of your groceries down. Your produce is cheaper. Okay, so then why don't these people deserve a living wage? Oh, they do! They do deserve a living wage. Okay, so if we give them a living wage, wouldn't that raise the price of your groceries? Well, they're still better off here than they were back home, so it's not immoral. That's the issue. Then you can talk them into be like, okay, well, what if instead of paying them, we say if we import you in, then you're not allowed to go, you have to still live here, but we'll give you free room and board. Yeah, that sounds okay. Yeah, that's slavery. But hey, as long as they're better off than they were at home, right? Perry Incorporated, $5 says, it's always opportunism. Like I said yesterday, moral absolutist. Anything can use against you. No truth, but power to these F slurs. Yep. Yoshi, $5 says, hey, Rob, my mom passed. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. And I've been anybody to blame my mom due to our missing brother on her insurance policy. I'm asking for help. I have no idea what to do in that situation. Due to a missing brother on her insurance policy, I'm asking for help. I really, I'm sorry to hear that, man, but I wouldn't begin to know what you do in a scenario like that. Yeah, get a lawyer. That's terrible, man. I'm sorry to hear it. Get an estate lawyer. Yeah, that sounds... Nah, man. Sorry. I don't push GoFundMes. I'm so sorry. I can't verify the facts within a GoFundMe, so I'm not going to push someone's GoFundMe. But yeah, there's some attorneys that'll talk to you for free, so see if they could help you out. So
we do our own drives here for turkey drives and those things, like things that we can verify, right, Rob?
Yeah, that's different. I'll just say I've had probably in the past 2 years of streaming, probably 10 people ask me to push GoFundMes for them. It'd be different if it's like EOD or if it's Avers or someone that I personally know. But I can't push people's GoFundMes. And you can understand how people could quickly take advantage of that, right? And that it would be able to be like, you know, we could just make up some story and Rob has a big heart and he's going to push it and then his audience will give money. So, yeah. That's I'm sorry, man, but I am wishing you well. We'll be praying for it, you know.
Be sure to get ready for that merch, boys and girls. Your Rob Noor Normal America merch during this break.
Now we need to get donos up to 50%, and then we'll move on to the next story. The next stories that I wanted to cover are about sort of the Rotterdam thing that broke, and then Trump's sort of discussion about Somalian immigrants. That's so it's a good one. really is.
Excited.
And more stuff about the Somalia immigrant scandal.
It's fun because I get to go downstairs and check in on my wife, and she has you up on the TV. Well, as you see when I get up, because I go and get my drink, right? Because she's cooking dinner. So I go down there and I just see you on the TV. I'm like, oh, she's completely invested now. This is fantastic.
Here, I forgot. I wanted to bring this up with that last story.
Oh, go back.
It's all right. This just says OSINT, which is Open Source Intelligence Monitor, Open Source Intelligence Defender. It's like, oh, it says it's a war crime, right? And this guy says, meanwhile, open source intelligence accounts when the Ukrainian military murders surrendering and wounded Russian soldiers with drones. Oh, yeah! That's exactly it. Anytime someone mentions Somalian pirates, all I can think of is Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah. Ah, look, our good friend Dean Jacobs. Great to hear
There
from
we
you.
go.
Says hi. Thank you for the $10. So I'm trying to get to 50% of the goal, and then we'll move on to the next story. So
We're almost there, are we not?
34%.
We are letting day shift beat night shift.
And day shift crushing night shift tonight.
Crushing night shift.
Crushing. It's absolutely crushing. I'm queuing up the next story.
I see a lack of whip songs in the future tonight.
Well, that's okay too. I don't mind that. Here's the story. Got it. All right. Well, oh, Yoshi, thanks so much. $2. Thanks, man. Says, I understand. Still love you, big dog. No problem, man. And good luck. We will definitely be praying for it. But yeah, seriously, talk to an attorney, and there might be something that they could do. What'd you say? Narrative Mom, thanks so much. Narrative Man, $10. Is YouTube continuing to relax its policing of content and creators? Maybe. So, like, ever since the Sam Hyde video that came out after the murder of Charlie Kirk, right? Where Sam Hyde's throwing some homophobic slurs, right? And that's straight up on YouTube. You can still go find that video on YouTube. So I had tons of people tell me, like, yeah, you can say that now. It's okay. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, yeah, Sam Hyde got away with it. I'm not going to test it, right? I know other people have said things that formerly would have been a one-way ticket to Bantown. But I'm not going to intentionally run afoul of it. So I don't know. I have been quite lucky. Well, I don't want to say lucky, because I don't think I ever did anything to warrant any community strikes I ever got. And I've gotten a lot for COVID disinformation, for election misinformation, and shit like that. It was all bullshit. But I haven't had any trouble like that for a long time. Ever since I did that July 4th stream with Sarah Tomato, where there was her opening just had like a Clint Eastwood, like, you know, drawing a gun and then a gunshot, didn't show anyone get shot or anything, and I got fucking my entire channel revoked indefinitely because that was considered against their firearms policy. And then basically I was able to talk to a YouTube rep and they revoked it within 24 hours. But I haven't received any more trouble, so I don't know if they are.
Well, except the whip song. Let's talk
Well,
about that.
yeah, well, but that's demonetizing live streams that I don't monetize anyways. So I guess I don't think about it that much. Now, the actual whip song, I understand why, because that is legitimately, you know, a song. But the one that's weird is
1950s.
the 1950s one
it.
that it says is it always mistakes it for the song "Slippin' and Sliding," which is a 50. There was slipping and a sliding. Blah, 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 blah.
Nothing like it.
It sounds nothing like it, but every time I play the song, I'll get an email 24 hours later that's like, your video's been demonetized. And I'm like, what? What? I didn't play any, like, licensed music yesterday. And that's what it is every time. By God and Iron, $5. Thank you so much. Perry Incorporated, another $5. Thanks. Says, get that Avarice guy OUT of here. Joke.